on, beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Grind.
BTG.
Hey, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. And please don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of our future content. Our podcast is for the doers and the dreamers who are ready to take their lessons and turn them into actions. My name is Kay.
I'm Alan.
And I'm Tosin.
And today, we have a very, very, very special guest in the building today. I mean, she's a founder, multi-entrepreneur.
Come on.
And an entrepreneur educator. I mean, she turned bankruptcy at the age of 21 into multiple seven-figure businesses. And now she's taking the lessons that she's learned and helping others to build and scale. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you my good friend, Kaila Cherie.
Woo! Come on.
Kaila, thank you so much for coming.
I love the introduction. Thank y'all so much. Thank you for having me.
No,
it's an honor.
It's always an honor to have great people like you come and share this stage with us, you know. So let's dive right in.
Okay.
All right. You know, whenever anybody tells me like, hey, I started a business when I was 12, I was doing that, I'm always like, what did you do when you were 12? I was, trying to run around outside, riding bikes with my friends, like we weren't thinking entrepreneurial back then, you know? So what were you doing at 12?
At 12. Let's see. I don't think people always say that, ask me that too. And I'm like, I don't think I was thinking about entrepreneurship at that time. But at the age of 12, I was always advanced for my age. So I just got into things. So I got into designing earrings at the age of 12. Nice. Basketball Wives was a hot series. So I designed the Basketball Wife earrings. I'm from Southern California. So we have the design district where we would go downtown, buy the supplies, and I would make them. And it just kind of took off. It was just a hobby. And then it just turned into actually making revenue. So
interesting. Well, you're 12. You can't really drive by yourself, right?
No,
so
no.
Like there must have been some kind of support to be able to help you on that journey. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, my mother, she's always been my right hand. She still is. She's my CFO today.
Oh,
we'll get into that.
You see?
She definitely, that was my support. It's like, this is what I'm doing. She always supported me. Whatever I wanted to do.
She wasn't like, you wasting time. Why do I have to drive you? Why do I have to?
No, because going downtown, like to the alley was our thing. So it wasn't nothing out of the ordinary. So
you turned a passion into a business. All right. All right. I like that. I'll take that 12-year-old story. All right. Other people, I don't know if your business is real. We might have to talk. All right. But let's switch it around a little bit, all right? Usually whenever we have guests come in, I'll always ask them, what's that background story? Tell us a little bit about you so that we can also get our fans to be familiar with you, and then we'll dive in deeper from there.
Okay. Background about me. I'll start, you brought up 12. So raised Southern California, started business at 12, was an honor roll student, straight A student throughout high school. First job was at In-N-Out Burger. So I worked at In-N-Out. That was like my first and last job. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it taught me a lot of discipline. And actually, I think that just driven a lot of the morals that I have today. Because it's a great place to work for. I was into everything, like all of Black Student Union. I was president of those clubs and just always advance into things of that sort. Went into, where did I go from there? At the age of, for advancing there, I went to college. So studied pre-medicine. I wanted to be a neurologist.
Didn't know that.
Really?
No. See, that's why we asked these questions.
Yeah, I did nursing in high school too. So that was passion. I really thought I was going to be a neurologist. I'm going to own a hospital. That was the goal from childhood. And then went to school, got into entrepreneurship, kind of fell into my hands. Right across the street from my school, there was a building, 160 unit building. Went there and I said, okay, it was empty. So I said, let me make this an African-American Chinatown. So I spoke to the owner. She's like, I call her Grandma Ann now. But just made the relationship. And she was like, yeah, but bring the businesses here. So that's what I did. I scouted other businesses, had nail salons, tax services, music studios, restaurants, and started filling the space in, car washes, and just started doing that. Sound like a great idea. Then I didn't know, at this time I'm just jumping into it, being an angel investor because I'm studying biology. So just got into that piece of it and that like made bankrupt at 21 because bad partnerships. But it was a learning experience. I'm so grateful for it to this day. And then I got into franchising, went into becoming a franchisee, a sub dealer first initially, raised capital, went to franchising, moved to Texas and got into Brinks. And from there, that's the journey.
Wow. My goodness.
Mm-hmm. That's a whole lifetime.
Summarizing it.
But I'm curious though, because I'm sure you don't know this, but when I first met you, I think the story that kind of stuck with me was how, at 21, you were bankrupt, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't even know what bankruptcy was at 21, talk less of even trying to understand what you were going through at that time. Could you kind of talk to our audience around the mindset, or should I say the shift that you had to make in your mind to, being at the lowest of the lowest, mm-hmm. and then pivoting into being a successful entrepreneur? Like, what was going on at that time, and how did you make that shift?
It was a very dark space because you can imagine no one else 21 years old going through what I'm going through. Like, what are we going to talk about? So everybody's trying to go, to the clubs. Yeah. We're in Vegas. Yeah. Like, everyone's
talking to attorneys.
Yeah. It's a different type of conversation. So, of course, it's lonely and it's a little isolating because no one can relate to that. So now you're trying to navigate something that you've never been through. You're trying to navigate stuff that people around you, haven't been through. And it was dark, but I knew I can always find a way. Like, I've always been like a solutionist. So it's like, I don't believe that nothing can be solved.
Yeah.
So that's just what I had in my mind. And I just kept going and looking for the answers.
So was it somebody that came into your life at that time, or was it just you just having a strong will to just say, you know what, this is not going to define me?
Yeah, it's just having a strong will. It's not going to define me. Oh. And my mother has support. She's been my number one supporter. So
hey, shout out to Mama Kaila out there.
Shout out to all the moms.
Right. It's Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
No. So I'm guessing the bankruptcy came up from you seeing that 106 unit building, trying to rent it out to everybody else, and something happened. Can you tell us what led to it, and how did you know it was time to call it quits and file for bankruptcy?
Yeah.
Because many entrepreneurs out there, right, we'll keep grinding, right? We'll keep pushing through it. I'll get it tomorrow. I'll get it tomorrow. I'll get it tomorrow, right? But bankruptcy is an option, but go ahead.
No, definitely. That's a great question. So how I got there, let's see. You had a point. I'm sorry. Brain farts. Don't put that in there. Edit that out. Okay. So what was your question? Oh my gosh.
My question was, what led up to the bankruptcy?
Okay. So great partnerships, bad partnerships, right? Mm-hmm. We don't know who we're getting into business with. It's like a marriage. Mm-hmm. So my thing was, I had the heart, I had the passion. I'm like, I'm giving you the space. What are your pain points? I wrote out everyone's business plan. I did all of the legwork for them initially.
Pre-chat.
Bad mistake. Yeah, pre-bad. And I could do it in 2 or 3 hours at the time. So it was just like, I could just see it for them. Like, I can see stuff into people. And I think that's why I'm building, like what I'm building now, is because I see it before someone else does. And it just comes natural. And that's what I saw with these business owners. But so I was like, okay, here's the money. Here's what we need to do. And I gave it to them, trusted them with it, but they didn't know how to manage it because they didn't know how to go through that. So I had to step in and now become operator of certain businesses. Ooh. I'm still in school. Like, I'm studying pre-medicine at the time, right? So now I'm managing employees. Now I'm, trying to go get contracts. So like my car wash, we did a lot of mobile detailing. I had locations at the mall locations. I had got them contracts with all of the rental car places. So we're washing their vehicles. So it was bringing in revenue. So they were doing good. But then some of the other businesses weren't doing good. So it's like you're always robbing Peter to pay Paul, because now you're funding one business to keep the other afloat. And when it just became unbearable because everyone wasn't holding their weight, I'm like, I'm not supposed to be doing this anyway. So let's just part ways. And by then I was already liquidated, in debt, personally. So
you were getting debt to help these businesses under your name?
After a while, yeah. So initially I had the capital, and then I start pulling from.
Oh, wow. You gave your own capital
Yes.
to these businesses.
Yeah.
The way he said, oh, wow, no.
I know.
God, no.
Hey, you know what? I can't judge. I can't judge. I don't think the episode is long enough. So don't worry.
It's funny because as you were narrating that story, Kaila, there's a lot of you that I feel I have in me as well. Because as an entrepreneur, right, you're so optimistic about things. Yeah. You see the big vision, and you're thinking about how you can create something to, especially solve a problem that currently exists. But I think something that we lack and that we need to work on as entrepreneur is risk management.
Right.
How do we de-risk a situation? Can we look at things from worst case scenario perspective? Or should I even say, can we look at things from an investor perspective, right? Typically when you're pitching to an investor doesn't care about all the bells and whistles. An investor is thinking about one thing. Am I going to get my money back? And is this the right person to execute? What is the background, right? And I think I kind of made a lot of the mistakes that you made growing up as well, which is when I see an entrepreneur, I get so excited. I want to help them. I want to see.
Passion for that.
And sometimes I would make decisions that are not necessarily standard. So, for example, if I see an entrepreneur and they're trying to raise money and they're having a hard time getting that money, and I have the money, I'm like, yo, let's do it, man. I got the money. I'm going to give it to you. We're going to make it work. Not realizing that there's a reason why they say that never use your own personal money for business ventures, especially somebody else's business venture, because when it's all said and done, they'll walk away and you're left holding the bag. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
It's that, and I wish I knew that, like risk management. Like I didn't know any of that during that time between 19 and 21. I'm just thinking, okay, this is what y'all do. This is how we're going to, make the money. And there's the passion behind it. Yeah. I just had that spirit. But now, of course, like you said, like making sure the risk that you're taking, it's a lot at stake. And that's why a lot of entrepreneurs, they come to us today and they're like, okay, give me $25,000, give me $50,000. I'm like, what are you going to do with it? What are the use of funds? How much is coming back? And that still isn't really understood a lot, just like in the community of, startup world. And that can be definitely challenging.
Why do you think it's still not understood yet? Do you think it's because the passion is over shadowing the reality that's on ground? Or, what do you think it is? Or do you think it's just a lack of knowledge?
Yeah, I think we've been ruined by social media. Sorry to say.
No.
Talk about it.
I'm putting it down almost every episode. So go ahead. Let me hear your perspective.
It's just, we see all of this. Sometimes it's not misinformation. It's misguided. And it's, it's missed. All of the facts aren't there, and we don't fact check anything. We see one big message, like one sentence, and we're like, okay, that's true. Yeah. So now I go straight to the comments. I'm like, okay, what's everybody else's perspective? Because there's a perspective for everything, right? And then I do start doing my own research if it intrigues me. Now you got ChatGPT. Like I wish we had that tool, AI back then. But you have these tools now. You have to start really. You can't believe everything you see. We say it all the time, and I think now everyone thinks, okay, I can go get these loans. I can have perfect credit score. I can do all these things. But it's a never-ending cycle, because now you get the loan. Now what? Is the money, is the company going to produce the money for the revenue? And if it doesn't, and I've been on both sides. Like I funded businesses through loans, credit cards, things of that sort. And I've also personally funded and taken major losses. So it's if you don't get it structured, if you don't do what if you don't have a plan in place, you're always going to be in that cycle.
So real quick, earlier you said you came up with a business plan. You came up with everything for those small business owners that you partnered with, and then you ended up essentially footing and running the business because it wasn't their business plan, right? It was your business plan. So you ended up being the business owner, and they ended up advising you. So my takeaway is that never do for someone what they won't do for themselves, right?
Yep.
So they should be able to do for themselves in order to show you that they have skin in the game.
Exactly.
Is that kind of what you were getting at with that?
That's the exact lesson, because now I'm like, well, did you read the business plan? Were you supposed to operate?
So you were holding them accountable for something that you made.
Yeah.
But it wasn't their idea. That's why. So yeah, that makes sense. And then after that move, when you got out of all of the, I guess the bankruptcy situation, what led you to try again? Like, what made you want to try again? You know, sometimes you get a sour taste in your mouth. You're like, nah, I'm good on this for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go to this route.
Especially when you were going. Okay, so I think you were doing. You were studying nursing,
Pre-medicine.
right? Pre-medicine, right? So natural instinct would have been like, okay, you know what? I tried this.
On the books now,
that didn't work. Let me just focus on the book and go get my degree.
I always have to have multiple things going on. That's like too boring for me. If I have to focus on one thing.
So you're addicted to it. You're addicted to just having so much stuff going on.
I don't like that word.
To piggyback on that, you may be ADHD. Most entrepreneurs are. Did you know that?
I think we all have.
No, seriously, because you always want to do things and achieve, because it's part of who you are. You can't kill it.
Yeah.
It's not. So I think, would you say that may have been a reason why, even though you may have not succeeded in the manner that you wanted to at the time that you wanted to, it motivated you to be like, okay, what are my lessons here, and how do I take that forward?
I feel like, I don't know, I've just always been hungry for more. It's just in me. It's just I have a burning sensation inside of me where it's like, go, you got to do, you just got to keep going.
That's beautiful.
Is that why you don't sleep enough at night?
Beautiful.
Probably.
Because
because
we're not attacking them. I'm trying to pull out the personality type, right? The traits, the mindset from her, right? But before the show started, you were talking to us and saying that, we probably are awake 22 hours out of the day. Tell us why? Because most people say, oh, you got to sleep 7 hours, you got to be top notch, and you got to be ready for everything. But you're grinding 22 hours a day,
And there's seasons to it, right?
Yes.
So it's not like I can operate off of 22 hours of sleep for 3 years. It's not possible. I wouldn't be sitting here today. But there's seasons.
That's a good point.
But I know which season I'm in right now. So right now, I'm probably operate 1 week. I was 8 hours of sleep in 2 weeks ago. But that's because I just made a major shift, I'm making major transitions within my company I'm building now. I'm a mom. So my time is super limited and every minute counts. Today, it's a miracle I'm here right now. I was I cannot disappoint Kay again. I was I have to be there, so it's my time's value, but I know there's going to come a season where it's going to slow down again, and then I'll be able to reset. But I know I'm on a mission. And I have to achieve that mission. Yeah. And you just have to have your mind set to that.
Sprint, you're in a sprint season.
I get the part about it's a burning sensation because you can't sleep. It's until it gets done, your mind is not able to rest.
I don't know about you, but if I'm tired, I'm tired. I'm going to sleep.
I'll wake up. I have to get up. I'm with you on that. I have to get up and go do whatever it is until I get to a point where I feel like I can relax a little bit.
Yeah. But Alan, you asked the question, right? You said that after, being burnt and experiencing the whole bankruptcy issue, why go back to entrepreneurship, right? And for me, I'm learning so much about you, Kaila, because I was always under the impression that the reason why you went back to entrepreneurship was because you just couldn't see yourself working for somebody else, So I thought that maybe something happened while working in In-N-Out Burger that made you have the mindset that, this happened, definitely you're not catching me doing this again. But now it seems like what I'm hearing is that it wasn't necessarily that. It was just the fact that there's a need for you to be doing multiple things at the same time.
you make two great points, and I want to say this first because a lot of people say, I want to be an entrepreneur so I don't have to work for nobody. Absolutely not. You're about to work for yourself around the clock. Like, it's hard. Sometimes I say, let me just go be somebody's number two. Right. I'll be the best number two in the world. Like, I will run laps around probably
that sounds so good.
The whole corporation, but it's not even about that. It's not like it's not in my idea. Like, I don't want to work for nobody. It's more so I have, like, I could be someone's CEO. I'm like, that's probably a goal. Like, I would love to build up a portfolio and go be a CEO of someone's company. Because being a founder is different. You know, like, you have to have the vision, you got to drive the pay, you know, and keep those things going. But it's bittersweet. You just, when you want to dive into entrepreneurship, you got to have that passion, and it's just a passion. You can't explain it. It's just like, sometimes, like, you're born an entrepreneur. You're born with resilience. You're born with just wanting to achieve and do more. So,
you know,
that's how I feel.
I can relate with that. I got a quick story for you guys. So, obviously, everybody knows that I used to run Zazu, my fintech company, right? And when it went down, that really hurt me. So I was looking for safety. So I went to go get a job working for an airline. I went to go work for them as a program manager, right? So I'm just running different projects, right? Now, these are the same type of projects that other people were complaining about, saying that, oh, I'm stressed, I'm this, I'm that. And you know what? It was so light for me because I'm like, so let me get it straight. I don't have to think about salary. I don't have to do any one-on-ones with anybody.
Turn off my laptop
at 5.
Right.
I'm not taking meetings at 3 a.m. Like, if this vendor does not go with me, like, it's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's levels to this, right? Mm-hmm. And so sometimes when people who are doing 9 to 5, and I'm not shading anybody that does 9 to 5, because I believe that 9 to 5 has some structures that is needed before you can go into entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. But when people sometimes say, 9 to 5 is so stressful, I want to go be my own boss and run my own business, I'm like,
not be stressed.
Now at that point, your customers are now your boss, because they're going to dictate, you know, if you're going to be successful or not successful, you know. So I like how you framed it. It's not for the weak.
Yeah, you made up some good points, because I'm in this position now. So, you know, during this time, I say I could accumulate all the years. I say I've worked with no paycheck for
oh my goodness,
for so many years, right? And it brought me back to when I transitioned to Dallas, when I wanted to build my franchise here. I had to go work nights at the hospital. So I worked 12-hour shifts every night so that I could pay my new sales reps that I was trying to build here. I didn't see that paycheck. It went straight to them. Wow. So it's like, I went to go work for somebody else because I was on a mission. Yes. I knew what I had to do. So I worked these hours, made sure they were paid. And truth be told, I'm doing the same thing now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm building every day. Every penny goes towards something. The people that are supporting me and that I have right now. Right. And that's how it is. So it's not easy when it's just like, oh, you're an entrepreneur, you're making all the money. Yeah. There's a lot of weight you have to carry.
Do you think you have to fail as an entrepreneur to become a successful entrepreneur?
Definitely. You're going to fail all the time. Fail forward.
I feel like, you know, you've pretty much highlighted your failures and what you learned from it. But I don't feel that you might need to fail, but I feel like it's inevitable. And the quicker you accept it and learn that this is just a pit stop and do like you did, evaluate it and take the positive things from it and build upon that, the better. The longer you delay the failure, the longer it is for you to learn that resilience and build that muscle. Which is why I think she's so successful, because she had those failures early on. When you have it on later in life, I feel like it's harder. It's like learning to ride a bike when you're way older. It seems to be harder than when you're younger.
Falling hurts more.
We start to lose our balance.
You start getting hip replacements and stuff, you know, like versus like, you know, your body is just more resilient and your mind's a little bit more resilient in that age.
And the mindset for failure has to be like, hey, this is the tuition that I have to pay, you know, for me to make sure that I don't make the same mistake. So if I make a mistake here, I just have to chuck it up to, you know what? Whether it was a time mistake or money mistake, that's a tuition that I paid. Because now I know that if I'm ever in that situation again.
Hopefully you learned it.
Right, hopefully, right? Now I know if I'm ever in that situation again, then I shouldn't make the same mistake. Because at that point, I'm just being stupid.
So how do you approach that failure with these entrepreneurs that you're always around now?
Because you're mentoring them now, essentially. So
I don't like mentors.
coaching them.
I don't like that word either. No. Because you have to, it's really execution. It's like, I can give you the strategy. I can map it out for you. I can, do these, but I need you to also execute with what's out there because I can't do it for you. I've learned that already. Yeah. Right. So, I'm like, it's going to come. Like, it's going to come, but you got to have faith too. Like, I am a strong believer of God. Like, having him at the forefront, he's my CEO, my everything, founder. And I have to lead with that because I can't do that. I honestly can't even tell you. Like, when people say, like, you're successful, all of this, I'm like, what are you talking about? I haven't accomplished anything yet. And sometimes that's hard because people look at you as this person. I'm like, I'm just a regular person trying to lead his people and continue to build and just do the good work.
Speaking of regular person, right? I want to tell you something that you don't know. Second time I met Kaila, because I really I was like, this is the type of people that I want to attach myself with. Why? Because she's extremely plugged into the city of Dallas, which is something I'm quite passionate about. I'm also an educator, so naturally there's an alignment there. So I spoke to her right-hand person, Mariah, and I said, how do I make sure that I don't get on Kaila's bad side? And you know what she said? She said, do exactly what you say you're going to do. And if you know you're not going to do it, don't say you're going to do it. And I was like, so, and I like the fact, it just confirms what she said about execution, right? Like, she can give you the strategy all day long. I can give you a strategy all day long. Ideas are plenty, but the real work comes in when you decide to execute, right? Because execution is what separates the dreamers versus the doers. So, really quickly, a lot of times business owners feel like they have to be visionaries, meaning that you have to invent something. You have to do it by yourself, right? And I think one of the things that we're trying to preach on this channel is that you don't have to be the inventor of something. The idea does not have to be yours. For you, right after bankruptcy, you kind of lean more into franchising, right? Can you kind of talk about that? What led you into franchising and why did that model work for you early on?
It's easy to rebuild capital if you execute, because now you're stepping in as an operator. Everything's mapped out for you. The business is there, the model's there. All you have to do is follow it and execute it. So I always tell people, like, if you need to build capital before you're going to start your own passion project or your business, start with franchising, because the roadmap is there for you. All you have to do, of course, do your research to make sure you're putting it in a viable place. But you have the support that you wouldn't have starting your own venture. They've already been through all of the ups and downs. If you experience some other up and downs, now you have other franchisees that you can call, and it's like a full network. That's your whole network. Now you don't have to go out and do a lot of networking and all of those things. So that is why I led with it. Kind of fell in my lap, but I continued to follow that, and that was a way for me to rebuild.
But Kaila, the way you kind of put it out there, it sounded like it was just easy sailing. Like, because if it was that easy, I feel like a lot more people will be doing franchising. And to be honest with you, I didn't even know about franchising until I got to Texas, really, which was about 6-7 years ago. I didn't know that was an option. I thought like you had this big old qualification. You had $1 million. Yeah, you need $1 million. It wasn't until I started speaking to Kaila, and Kaila was talking about all these different resources that are available that can help you and position you to be a franchise owner, right? And I kind of want you to educate our audience, at least as the expert, because this is kind of like where you've made a lot of your success from early on. Like, what was that like? Like, how can you like walk them through like step by step how you got there?
Okay. let's go back.
Okay.
So going back to Vegas. So I was a sub dealer. So there I was already operating under a model of
What's a sub dealer?
So a sub dealer under another alarm company.
Okay.
So this was an alarm franchise company.
Yeah, it's another large one. Okay. So I operated under that for some time, rebuilt capital there. I said, okay, I want to do this for myself in a different area because I wanted to move. I wanted to get out of Vegas. Okay. So I said, I scouted between here and Georgia. I met with other franchisee dealers. How was the market in their area? You know, what was sales? I was a sales team. Some people operate door to door still. At that time, some of us partnered with concierge companies. Some of us partnered with, home builders, things like that. So when I came to visit Dallas for the first time, I was able to now just easily step into it because I knew what I was looking for. So it's like I got to operate under someone else before, and then now I knew, okay, now I can translate and, I can transition into being my own franchise. Now, becoming my own franchise was not easy as I thought, because some of the things as a sub dealer, you're blind to. You know some things, but you don't know everything. Like I knew the operations of the business, but now it was the starting point. So it took me some time to find the actual franchise that I wanted to go with. So I had to go meet with these executive teams. I had to go through all the paperwork, get reeled in. I had to come up with certain capital. I had to purchase all my equipment, had to get, net 30 accounts, things like that, so I can get the equipment, get it installed, because I get paid on the back end of it, and we get paid on multiples and things of that sort. So, but I already knew how that piece of it worked, but now it was just me fully stepping in and operating at that level. And so to the point, I had a bit of experience in the lane that I was in. So if you wanted to, let's just say, like, okay, I want to get into restaurants. Like, I want to be
Domino's or Papa John's or something. Now
you probably want to go sit down with some people that have some franchises for
even talk
franchisees.
Is there such thing as a sub dealer for those type of things?
Well, you can talk. So the cool thing about being a franchisee, when you approach a franchisor, they have discovery days as well. So now you reach out to their team, they support you. You're talking through them. You're talking to them throughout the process. What does it look like? What do I need to qualify for? Because everyone's qualifications are different. Yeah. So you have your franchise fee. What does it cost for me to just be a part of your franchisee? Those can range from $10,000 to $1 million. Like you want to make Domino's Arco or something, right? And then you say, okay, now let's get to know each other a little bit better. You go to Discovery Day, you visit their headquarters, they introduce you to the franchisee in your market. So now you can call them and you can have those conversations and say, is this something that I want? What did you struggle with initially? Restaurant business is challenging, so you got to make sure you have a good general manager if you're not going to be in there operating it.
Even allowing me to like shadow them or something? I'm sure. Or I guess it depends on the person.
It probably depends on the person, and it depends too on, but you have to take into effect too, some of these franchisors, into consideration, some of these franchisors have corporate stores. So sometimes they may say, okay, you can come in and shadow our corporate stores. And those opportunities are there. You just got to be hungry for the information and just know so that you have a good head start.
Is there a franchise that you would recommend easily for people, or you've just got to do your whole due diligence? Because
asking for
there's almost
I'm asking for a friend.
Because there's so many franchises out there. I think there's even one to cleaning homes. There's others for office supplies. There's like wide range.
I struggle with that.
And things that you wouldn't even think about that should not be franchised, but they are franchised. So
you want to find something that fits your lifestyle. So if you don't want to go in a full operator mode, you got to find something where you don't have to be the operator. Like we know Chick-fil-A, you have to be an operator in there. You have to work the business like a job, right? And then also like 7-Eleven, you can only have that business. They won't let you own anything else. So certain it's certain companies with certain restrictions. Like that wouldn't work for me, right? Because I'm still trying to build, what I'm building. Yeah. So you have to find like who's flexible or what's scalable too at a faster rate, and just grow from there. So I can't really say a specific one. But if it's industry based, I would definitely lean towards like
I'm taking some notes.
Right.
I'm taking notes for a friend.
That's what we talking.
You want to think like plumbing,
Really?
I knew that one.
Yeah, like plumbing, HVAC, your everyday necessities. No.
You just need to find.
You get an operator.
Yeah, you get an operator.
You just run the franchise.
But you guys are making, just get an operator.
You
just go outside and find them on the street, like, yo, you want that?
I have a patient who started one like 3 years ago, and he's like, I mean, he has his ups and downs, but he said it was easier than he thought to find people to work for his HVAC company.
You could partner with trade schools, and now you become their placement.
That's true.
Their job placement.
Got some trade schools and
But you just got to find you a strong lead to come in there. You'll find them.
Yeah.
They'll come to you.
interesting for a friend, you know.
Right.
Okay, so now that after you did franchising and you started, you know, just raking all that money in, I guess the next step in your journey of, you know, you've got that burning itch was to start up
Blueprint University.
Blueprint.
I was going to say a university to be able to train entrepreneurs. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. So when Blueprint University started, here goes my mom again. So people would call my phone all day. Kaila, I want to start a business. How do I do this? And I would spend hours on the phone with them. She's like, girl, get off the phone. You need to charge these people. And I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? Like that didn't click at the time because I'm on the lane and it just comes natural to me. Right. Yeah. So I started thinking about it. When I was pregnant, bedbound and had some time, now thoughts coming in. And so I was able to create something. I thought it was going to be, at the time, 2020, 21, COVID was hot and everybody was doing online courses. I signed up for many. I don't know if you all did yourself, but then I said, this is not it. This isn't going to do it for the business model I want. So I had built out a full course. I kind of pubbed it, but not too much. And then I transitioned. And then I said, okay, I think WeWork was doing good at that time too. So I said, well, I need a full building for this place for these people to come to. So I wanted to build out that full concept, make it like an innovation hub. But my prime was education because I felt like I said earlier when we talked about misinformation, I wanted to make sure that the education was out. Yeah. So now it has transitioned into becoming one of the first licensed trade schools for entrepreneurship. Nice. So I'm making entrepreneurship an actual licensed trade skill, along with it now being tied into workforce infrastructure. So entrepreneurship isn't seen as workforce, you know, by our workforce boards yet. It's going to be because we're going to make it happen.
That's right.
But that's a bigger picture. So now it's more so, connecting those dots so that we can have this space where you're just coming in, getting mentorship, coaching, or, you know, things like that. Now you're actually building from what we don't know and applying it. So our trade school is going to be 36 weeks, 9 months. Nice. It's hands-on. So you get an educator, you get 2 advisors. Still working through accreditation, but that's going to be when it's time. We'll announce that, and it's continuing just to build from there. I don't know where it's going to go, but I feel like it's unfolding as time goes.
When God is calling you, you answer, right?
You just answer. You just wake up every day and go towards it.
That's all you can do.
Don't be disobedient.
That's all you can do. All right. No, I like that. So inside Blueprint University, you're going to take students who are entrepreneurs already or aspiring entrepreneurs. Let's start from that point.
To be for everybody. So it's a full ecosystem. Trade school, you start out, I really want everybody to go through the trade school because it lays down the foundations, everything you're going to need to know from building your business. By the time you come in, day one, by the time you exit, you're graduating with a business. Because we know college, like you can go get an MBA in business, but you're just leaving with theory. Yeah. So how do we leave with an actual business that's actually producing revenue? And that's what our trade school produces. And now you become a strong skilled operator. And that's why I say you're going to have to start as an operator in your business regardless. Yeah. So you might as well get the training that you need. So then now you can continue to build your team and then successfully, you know, have other people come in and build through it. So that's the first step. Then we have our startup and our scale up phases. So if we need to work with more tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 businesses, we can step in. We've built our ecosystem with those relationships where they need capital, they need structure, they need certain sorts of marketing. And we're just able to fill those gaps in for them, because it's all about just connecting dots and resourcing it. You know, I've had clients reach out to me. Like, I was like, we're having a conversation. They execute it. And then I get an email. Hey, what you told me, it worked. We got approved, X, Y, and Z. I love those things. Those things makes my day.
I hope it comes with a check. You know?
That's the part.
We need to talk a little bit more. It needs to come with a check. No.
So, Kaila, you know, a lot of people, especially nowadays, you know, decide not to go to university because they don't see the value, right? Some of them it's because they just don't have the money to go to a university. They would prefer to go to a trade school, right? I'm sure you're still working on your accreditation, right? So the question I have for you is, for somebody who's out there watching this and they're saying, man, I really have all these business ideas that I want to get into, but I really don't know how to. And it sounds like Blueprint University is the place for me. How does that person, you know, get from the idea stage to being a part of Blueprint University, and what is it going to cost them?
You just come in. I get free consultations. So we have a team ready for you. You come in, we map it out. We send you a full proposal. Our proposals are built out. It's a DIY. Essentially, you could do it yourself, or you could pay us to do it through our business development team. And then once our school is open, it's a tuition base. So you'll come in, you can apply for scholarships. Once accreditation is there, we'll be able to offer Pell Grants, things of that sort to help with tuition costs. But it's just walking through the door. It's like, you have the execution in your mind. This is what you want. This is what you want to build. I can guarantee you that we are going to execute out there.
I just want to know, where was Blueprint University when I was struggling earlier?
Where was it when I was struggling? That's why we created it.
Still cooking. It was still cooking. All right. You know, God sometimes has to take you through some scenarios, through some fires, so that, you know, when you get on the other side, you can help somebody else pull them through that fire.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
And I'm still learning. Like, it's everyday learning. Like, I've gone through a lot these past few years, and experienced a lot of, you know, things I'm working through.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that at a later date.
I'm sure you probably come across so many different personalities, people, disappointing, the whole 9 yards.
And, you know, I'm not really a big... I'm a people person for a certain amount of time. I'm not a chit chatter. Okay, that's what I'll break it down to. I'm not an everyday chit chatter. So even like my friends, we can go 6 months without talking and there's no bad blood because they know I'm not an everyday chit chatter. Now, if something's wrong, you can call me and I'm there.
Yes.
But
it's just your personality.
That's just my personality.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. Now, as you are evaluating some of these business ideas, have you ever told somebody, like, you dream, this thing's terrible? Like,
just step on it. Why don't you? Get this out of here.
Why did you even wake up this morning? No, I'm kidding. No, that's too hard.
The blunt hard truth.
You know, but it's just like, instead of sugarcoating it, you know, have you had to tell folks, like, yeah, this is not going to work. You need to go back to the drawing board.
I don't say it in that direct.
Because Kaila, I
can sugarcoat it, make it sound really good.
She be trying to be political and stuff like,
I can make it sound really good to where they'd be like, yeah, that wasn't a great idea. Like, I will make you talk your way through it and make you think, like, okay,
that it's not that great.
That wasn't that great of an idea. But let's shift, let's navigate, because there might be some things that are good in there, but let's actually connect the dots and find what is good.
So you're kind of like that optimistic person that, you know, you want to see, even if it's just a mustard seed, you know, you want to see it and pull on it.
And that's why she's an educator.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. I love it.
All right. Well,
you got an idea you want a picture? You scared to get shot down?
Bruh. I might need my own consultation.
Right.
Y'all give her.
Oh, give it on, Kaila. Come on. Thank you.
Alan, round us up.
Kaila.
Thank you so much, Miss Kaila, for being here with us today. We're very grateful. You graced us with your presence. I know you're an introvert. You gave us all this big energy, and sharing, your failures, your successes, and being very candid with us, and showing us that we may have bad ideas.
I didn't say that.
We might get shot down. No, I'm kidding. But no, seriously, we learned a lot about how to franchise, how, the steps it took. And some of us now may have written some ideas down to look up later on. I hope y'all did, because we did. And we thank you, and we couldn't ask for anything better. I learned a lot, and I hope y'all go check out her Blueprint University.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it had all that, truthfully. I didn't know it had all that. So
where can they find you?
For information.
BlueprintUniversity.com.
BlueprintUniversity.com.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing a social media website.
Social media. Blueprint University.
All right. You don't want them to find you. She's like, Blueprint.
Blueprint University.
Find Blueprint University.
Yeah.
But yeah, until then, we thank you for another episode. Watching us, like, subscribe, comment below.
Yes.
What you liked about, or any question you might want to ask her or ask us.
Yeah.
Until next time, peace.
Tools to make strategic decisions and take calculated risks. We'll also talk about future-proofing your business so you can build a lasting legacy and true freedom. This isn't a one-sided conversation. We're all on this journey together to build a life and a business that works.